Notice is hereby given that the City Council of the City of Caldwell, Burleson County, Texas, will convene in a regular meeting at the City Hall, 107 South Hill Street, Caldwell, Texas. Regular meeting place thereof at 5:30 p.m., January 23rd. Please stand for the invocation and pledges. God, thank you for this wonderful community that we get to call home. Thank you for all of our kind and generous citizens that continue to help others on a daily basis. And God, keep our employees safe from harm, and thank you for letting them continue to work in frigid conditions this past week to keep our electricity and water going. In your glorious name, amen.
Amen.
Pledge to the American flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
All right, welcome to the visitors we have tonight. We don't have any citizens to be heard on agenda items, but we do have someone to speak on city-related topics, and that is Elizabeth Rink.
I'm Elizabeth Rink. To introduce myself, I'm Elizabeth Rink. I am the president of the Adult Recreation Association in Caldwell, as well as I'm on the Burleson County Field League for softball. As you know, we have the two softball fields at Davidson Creek Park, and then we have NOAC field, and then a field that's really not as developed over on OSR by the police department. I just wanted to kind of come and get an introductory to what the community leagues would really appreciate and really like to see is the possibility of developing NOAC to be more of a softball field, and so that the Little League can use it, the Adult League can use it. Right now its condition is a little under the weather, and it's not as safe for those teams, whether Little League or Adult League, to use it. I wrote a bunch of notes here, but I just want to keep it short and sweet. There are several people in the community that have offered to help out with getting that field with their own equipment, just asking very little of the city to maybe provide dirt and things like that to get the field up to par. Little League is also willing to assist in some of these measures, but just want to kind of grow our community. Softball's growing a lot here. I went from having 5 teams in the Adult League to having 14 teams almost this last season. We had one team fall out, so it's 13, but almost a full 14 teams of 12 to 16 people. It's about 230 people actively involved every season from summer to fall in our Adult League. I can't tell you the numbers on Little League, but I know I've assisted and coached, and there's at least 5 to 6 teams in every division from 8U to 12U. But it's a lot of people in the community, and as you know, it's growing and developing more, and I think having more softball fields that are maintained and readily available for everybody to use will be a good benefit to the health and activities in our community, and pretty much what we're looking to kind of see grow. Notes. Well, I know the person that's talked about helping fix it up, just going to put his name out here, Jason Goss. He renovated fields in Smithfield to get them up to par to use, so he has experience doing it, and he's offered his own equipment and to do it. So he's in particularly looking at NOAC so that when Little Leagues use Davidson Creek Park, that he can use NOAC, and Adult League can use NOAC, and Little League could also use NOAC, and everybody benefits from it. I don't know how much baseball rules and regulations are if they can make the infield dirt or not, but that's kind of the big thing that they're looking at fixing out. I do believe the mound's removable. So I think that's just about it. But we just wanted to kind of look at future opportunities for that and touch base with y'all on it, put it in your minds. Maybe y'all have some ideas and some thoughts for future community goals that you're trying to reach, and we just want to say that Little League, Adult League, and some of these other people in the community are willing to help out just this with making these fields, kind of getting them up to par. So
Was NOAC Field, in the last like 2 or 3 years, was it used during softball season, like the spring when the kids play?
It is not used for games. It can be used for practices, but I know in the last year or two, it's really gone downhill. I don't know all the aspects of what's issues there are with it. I know there's a lot of divots and it's very unlevel, but someone had mentioned to me at one point there was a metal bar sticking out of the ground in the infield, but I'm not quite sure or positive on that. So there were just some things that routine maintenance that really needed to be done to level it up. The bases kind of go back and forth from being appropriated for baseball, then softball, and all the different age groups have different links within softball that they use. I know there for a while there were a lot of lights out on it, but I think that all got handled this last fall. Jared, can you think of anything else with it?
I haven't noticed anybody playing on it though.
Mm-hmm. I don't think anybody with baseball uses that
It
field.
hadn't been used in a long time.
Yeah.
No, remember that started, they got the field in the early 80s. It was built as a softball field. And high school, when they started their softball program, that's where they used to play their games at. And then once in 2004, Davidson Creek was built with softball moved over there. You had Keith Camardo and Eric Polyak, Stephen Nowak, a bunch of them, they put in lots of money. They converted it to, I don't know what age group Camden it would be that's played there. I know the city sunk in about 30,000 and we built the concrete area, covered it, built some sidewalks. And a few years ago, I know Deanville used it a little bit for hardball. They donated portable pitching mounds. In the past few years, it just hasn't been used much at all.
So it brought up to par, then it could be used for Little League softball and of course adult co-ed softball.
Yes.
Okay.
Is that, could you just put up a temporary fence? Is that what y'all's vision is, or would you?
This has a fenced in area. It's more so the field needs leveling.
Okay,
The
so-
bases need some work, and then the infield needs to be basically made into.
Okay, so the fencing's fine. It's okay.
So if this is not an agenda item for tonight, so we can't discuss it too much detail. What I would say is I met with Elizabeth and we had 4 or 5 people here that day.
Yes,
And I thought this would be a good introduction to this process. If the council so desires, I'm happy to meet with them again and other stakeholders, just so we can kind of work through this to see what it looks like with respect to those that Thomas pointed out that have put a lot of work into this already, and see how we can utilize that field for the best interest of Caldwell. The idea that she brings up, I think has some value, and we definitely look at it. So if the council desires, we'll schedule another meeting and put some more details in place and then bring that back to the council. We may schedule a public hearing so everybody's voice can be heard, and then the council can make a decision on what they might want to do with that field.
Do it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, we have consent agenda items, the appointment of David Peatyhouse as fire chief for the Caldwell Volunteer Fire Department for the year 2024, and approving an order of election for the Caldwell Municipal General Election to be held May 4th, 2024. We have a motion to approve the consent agenda items.
So move.
Yes.
Second.
All in favor of approving consent agenda items, raise your right hand. Motion passes. Next, regular agenda items. We have a presentation tonight from Armory Disc Golf and it's a proposal on expanding and improving the existing disc golf course at John E. Hale at Davidson Creek Park.
Okay, so I don't know a whole lot about this, so I'm going to let Dustin present the ideas that we've got, and then we'll go from there. It doesn't matter.
I'm point here.
Okay. Can you pull up that graphic?
Mind if I turn the screen?
Yeah.
So this is, I took a map from Google, screenshotted it, and then threw together a quick review map. And so
the course that we're looking to design, like we discussed last time, is something that is tournament ready, ready to play for the collegiate students. Josh is actually on his way. He's got a class next week, but he's on his way, and his name is down here as well. He's like, "Can you please put my name on that?" So we got him on the design process right now. So this would be a 3x6 map right in front of the course. So it's like you step up, and what is this concrete pad, and there's a sign there. And my thought is kind of twofold. With the course being there, it's wonderful because you're, like we talked about, close to Houston, College Station, getting lots of college students. The course we just finished putting in Bryan has been played over 1,400 times since we turned on the map, and I don't ever keep score on the app. So I don't know how many times this course has been played, thousands of times. We had our first like really small event. There was 40 people there, and we didn't publicize it or anything. It was just to see where the problems were. So this is already we're seeing like fruit from this course there. But with this one, Caldwell is wonderful. I'm super excited with not only like disc golf throwing, but the softball, and just kind of convinced my wife to move here. Come on. I'm like, babe, that's the place to be. But you're wanting to take care of your parks and your citizens and get people outside is important. And I'm thinking through this course as a tournament ready course that we would come run big events. The collegiate guys, they would come out. We would help them run events, get lots of people out here. But Caldwell is not a disc golf destination yet. And so a lot of your citizens are not going to have any idea what this is. They see the baskets there, but most of them don't play, etc. So we have a very simplified rules and guidelines on the map as well. And then part of the, if you look at, you guys have the course, right? So part of that is there's 36 key signs quoted on that. So this is hole one. So this is hole one. The blue tee is for more of the collegiate advanced play. That's where we'll have the concrete tee pads that are quoted on there as well. There's 18 of those. The nice thing about that is I have it quoted for signs as well as the post for dirt tee pads for here. So the people that aren't as used to playing disc golf, don't know much about it, I'm not asking you to throw 1,000 feet on your first hole. We're going to have it a average 250-foot shot. And what that does is allows the citizens to get used to it, kind of get into it, instead of stepping up to something and going, oh my gosh, why is this even here? Does that make sense? Yeah, so that's the idea with the course and our idea with designing the course, working with Josh. We walked the property a couple weeks, I guess it was a couple months ago, at least, just before it got cold. So walked the property and kind of looked at this. The gentleman that is doing the clearing, he's a College Station native. We worked with him there in Bryan for that course. He does an immaculate job. Actually, I really got into it. His guy that was running the machine one day at Bryan was clearing the land, and we were crunched for time. We were about to run out of time. I was like, hey, because they clear the brush, they mulch it, and then they backdrag it to turn it into little wood chips, which is great. But we're crunched for time. We don't have time. I was like, would you please just stop backdragging it? And he said, I can't. I'm like, what? He's like, I can't. It leaves stobs. It leaves just chunks of wood that are unsafe. So when they're done with this course, it will be just, I mean, it's like you buy mulch from the store. It is amazing how good of a job they do. So we love working with them. I think that's what we did that last time. D4 they're the best. They do a really good job. Yeah. You guys have any questions as far as anything I have talked about?
As far as the design, and I think we talked about it last time, but design is for collegiate. And when talking to Josh and Spencer, when they were out here, the mainstay was that maybe Texas A&M would even be interested in using this course from time to time. Is that
absolutely?
okay?
Yes. Yeah, they would. I know they believe Friday they have a tournament in Louisiana, but otherwise twice a week they have practice. And so they typically go to Research Park, which is the one on campus. It's kind of boring.
Yeah.
It's open. There's no, you just throw the same shot over and over again. And the one that we put in Bryan is great for them because it's tight technical wood skulls. And so 30 minutes away from the university, they can come play a more, what we would call park style golf. There's wooded courses, there's open courses, and there's park style golf. This kind of fits into park style. And so that would totally give them a very different feel as far as practicing, as well as events. So later in the year, March 23rd, we have a conference event here in College Station for the collegiate guys that we're running. So yeah, this would, I think, benefit them a lot.
In you said, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you said that a lot of your tournaments they're actually asked to come, that it's not just free for all. In other words, you're taking some of the best of the best. Is that what you said?
Yeah,
or I'm not wording it correctly, but
yeah, so we run events. I was telling Cammy earlier, the last month and a half has been just madness for us. We run events all over the state. I planned probably 100 events in the past couple months across the state that we're doing. 17 of them are bigger events, and you play these events and you qualify for them. And then we were very selective on what courses we play at, because there's a bunch of disc golf courses. But if my business is trying to uphold this level of excellence, and so we're very selective of where we run events. And this would be one of those courses where, obviously I'm hands-on designing it, so I know what I'm looking for in a course that is tournament ready. And then later at the end of the season, there's a championship. It's invitational, so it's invite only at that point.
how many people are we talking about coming? Not coming.
So
I'm not just players, but average. Some of them, I know they got to have a following.
yes, sir. Yeah, we're trying to work our way into more of the pro scene as far as stuff, and that would bring in thousands of players potentially. That's a couple years down the road, but that is where we're headed. And so our first big event, really big event of the year, is the new course in Bryan. It's the grand opening. We're expecting 90 players to play that event. The city of Bryan is sponsoring it, so they're throwing in added cash. We've got a local brewery. We're hoping, because the professional disc golf makes a loop through the U.S. and it will fall. The March is the Texas Swing, and we got the first weekend of that. And so we are not a pro tour event yet, but we were very selective in choosing that weekend to be a part of that. Grand plan for us, this is like all the stars align. 5 years from now, we are top level tournament runners. We can use the one in Bryan and potentially even use this one to bring in those thousands of people to those events. Again, this is like all the stars align. I don't want to this is a free moneymaker. No. There's work to be involved with anything that you do. You can't just throw something together. But this would be one of those. But any normal events that we run, we're looking at probably 200, 250 people just on a regular, just a regular event.
One more question for me.
Yes, sir.
Say we approve this and we go in, mulch everything. How long before the course would be in good enough shape to actually play on?
To play on, as long as we're not out there mulching, and we've got baskets in the ground, you can play it.
Okay.
So midsummer maybe. The course being completed, I think a year would give us plenty of time to do that. The only problem that I could foresee would be the mulcher can't start when it's too wet outside right now, so we can't do anything that's wet, stuff like that. And then everybody's getting caught up on baskets. There's always baskets in stock now, so that should be fine as well. So a year, best case scenario, or excuse me, worst case scenario would be finished. Let's run the first event. Kind of thing.
I lied. One more. Does it need to be seeded, grass, or?
That would be helpful. From my understanding, because you have a lot of this area here is a lot of mesquite.
Mm-hmm.
With that, you can go in and you can spray those. Like right as we cut them down, we can go through and spray them, and that's something that we could work together with the city to get those sprayed, and that would just take care of that problem. The other thing is just putting some sort of seed down for, I just talked to D4 about this actually, when we looked at the land together. He gave me a quote. But if you seeded it, it would also help with keeping some of the mesquite down, keeping some of the like invasive species, stuff like that. And then you could kind of dictate that. It's not the end of the world if you don't want to, but it would be something that I would
think we want to mow it just like a golf area.
Yes.
So
It'll take a little while. It's one of those things because it is, it's a new forest, so it'll take a little while to be. It won't be a golf green and nice and short grass,
we
but
don't need that.
no, you won't. We're not hitting balls across the fence, so it'll be fine. But that's a good question.
Is the yellow line up around 11 and 12? Is that the new walkway?
That is the cross country course that's there. That Mr. Easter and we drove around, and so this line here and then this line here, we would play it as for tournaments and stuff. It would be marked as out of bounds because we're expecting people walking there, people riding bikes, etc. But this line, as well as this line, is the existing trail, essentially. And the red is the property line, at least the fences.
Total footage.
So, question. It's one of those things. This is a loosely drawn map.
Okay.
Once we get in and we start marking, we start clearing, and we get in there. I really like this tree, or I want, we'll start shaping things, and then after that, signage is the last thing we put in the ground because all of that will kind of tweak and change, and the distances will change. But it should be pretty long. I don't know what it.
I think that is like 8,000, a little over 8,000 feet.
What is a collegiate course average between
Like
20?
7 to 9.
Yeah, 7 to 9.
Okay. Okay.
Depending on.
Hi, Josh.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah.
All your hard labor.
Sir. Any other questions?
Do we have money to fund this?
The question is, council want to fund this out of this budget year, or do we want to push this to next budget year and actually have it? I mean, if we have funds, we'll just have to shift some things around. Move some different
What's the
projects.
city manager?
Is it hot tax eligible?
No. Not at this time. Parts, you gotta be over a certain population. Well, I'll make it work however you want to do it. If you decide to approve it.
I don't think we need to delay it. We're already out maybe a year at least. I mean, it's not that we have to. When's our fiscal years?
This one ends in September. End of September, so we're really 4 months into this fiscal year.
I don't want to wait.
Yeah, I don't, we hadn't taken the vote yet, but I wouldn't want to wait if we decide to approve it. The sooner the better.
Guys on this end in the conversation?
So I will tell you, it just what I'm thinking off the top of my head. We've allotted a certain amount of money to street projects. Well, y'all saw on the last council meeting or two that it takes quite a bit to knock out any of these projects. So, project of this size would take much from that, so we could utilize those funds. Just off the top of my head without looking at deep into it.
Do we have a motion?
I'll motion.
The motion would be to authorize Armory Disc proceed with disc golf.
Yes, with this, but I'll let you say.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor of having Armory Disc Golf expand and improve the existing disc golf course at Johnny Hale Davidson Creek Park, raise your right hand. And opposed, motion passes. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Josh, your dream just came true.
Yeah.
Don't go back and brag, Thank you for coming, Josh. Really appreciate it. I wanted to include you.
Next, authorize the city administrator to award a bid to a contractor for the renovation of the interim city hall on Pickle Street with condition that the expenditure does not exceed $100,000.
So what we're looking to do with this project is really kind of a facelift, to some of the heavy traffic areas inside of that building. We need to do some flooring work, some painting work, and just kind of overall, there's some light fixtures that are update some of the data things. I've got a couple of bids, trying to keep this general because some of the stuff that I think we need to do is gonna be more specialized. So the couple of bids that I've got, they handle the facelift, like the back door, I think needs to be replaced. I want to replace it with a key card entry. So we have a little bit more of a record of who's coming in and who's coming out. And just, I think it's more secure that way. We don't have as many keys out there. So those are going to be some one-off projects, but I would keep everything under that $100,000 mark. The couple of bids that I've got on the facelift one that came in, quote me because I wasn't going to put a specific contractor on here so we could do the other thing. It was 62 and the other was about 70. You know, we need new plumbing fixtures, all of the bathroom vanities, just kind of bring it up to par. So that's any question, we can look at it on different days, but that's kind of the bare necessities just to bring it up to business ready.
Once approved, is contractor ready to start, available to start?
So what I've asked everyone that's looked at it is I've given them a move-in date of, we want to be in there in March. And I think they'll be able to do that. But of course, we're a week late now, but hopefully by the end of March, and then I'll have to come up with a plan to move everybody.
Do we have a motion for this to authorize the city administrator to award a bid for city hall renovations?
I'll make a motion, we'll give them authorization.
Do you have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor of authorizing the city administrator to award a bid to a contractor for the renovation of the interim city hall on Echo Street with the condition that the expenditure does not exceed $100,000. Raise your right hand. None opposed, motion passes. Next, department and community reports.
Still couldn't tell our entire staff is sick, so.
Uh-oh. Any questions, guys? Any other reports?
On the bidding program report, these bottom few sections, they don't total out across the page. I was trying to get my columns at it, but didn't have how many years to date now. But across on the bottom.
We'll see that electronic.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you should be able to do it.
We're going over. We're going over all the reports. I didn't notice that.
Yeah, any report.
This annual property tax report, that was something that's newer. I haven't.
It is new, maybe, and it's not able to be updated all the time because it's something only gets property tax values in the tax assessor's office, and sometimes it's not in before we post for the meeting. So,
But is that what we actually received from
Yeah,
the
that's
tax
what we're
assessor?
actually
Okay, okay. All right, January. Or December and January. Gotcha.
Under the code enforcement report, is code enforcement Mr. Denson's sole responsibility, or does he have other assignments for the city?
He's also doing animal control.
Okay, animal control.
I want to touch on the permit report. You know, everything's going through BD now, Bureau Veritas. We are still working through just kind of the kinks of change, right? There's a lot of different things that maybe we haven't required in the past that we're requiring now as a part of the development process. And with all those changes, there comes a lot of questions. Staff trying to handle those as best we can. We are also just putting developers directly in touch with BV so they can work through what's required or, the planning process and going over that. Their planning group has been pretty good about, facilitating meetings across with different developers. And just want to inform council that we are working through things. If you hear from rumblings, the same thing on the inspection side. We're learning new things every day. So, it's a learning process for us, for the developers, and I think we'll have a few bumps in the road, but we're working through it.
Well, I think the only thing I've been asked is about individuals trying to do stuff. So they could be more responsive, I guess. They had I think they can cut some of it down because this shouldn't be the first time they went through this before. So I've heard it from a couple when they were at Snook. And, it's not like they provide an individual builder or even a person who does commercial projects. But they need to provide what that schedule is.
So I requested a cheat sheet, basically, for, requirements. Are you gonna require an engineer slab for this? Are you gonna require an MEP being stamped by engineer? Basically, what are you requiring for each project? The response was not like, here's a cheat sheet. It says that there's a lot of variables involved. So staff, and mainly force is we're trying to educate ourselves and develop that cheat sheet on our own so we can provide that. None of us likes to be like, well, I don't know, let me check with them, or I can't give you the answer right now.
Well, the
wanna
problem
be
is
involved.
we don't have anybody qualified on our staff to probably even answer those questions.
I'd say you're correct. We're getting there. I mean, we'll have to teach ourselves.
Well,
When we
I
have
know,
time.
but I mean, that's gonna bog down your office. I think they ought to have something. That's just my.
I agree. And we requested it. And I think we're still kind of back and
Yeah,
forth.
well, I think they need to come up with it because I feel like we signed on and they should have this information.
I don't disagree at all.
It ought to be a spreadsheet. It ought to, label how everything's, laid out because, we have people trying to make this community better by either utilizing, and I mean, I'll talk with them myself if you need me to, but I mean, they're trying to, make a business here, utilize a building we have, or they're trying to bring something new to our community. And I mean, we should have that information. I mean, it's already been like 3 months. So, I mean, it shouldn't be on y'all.
I may get with you.
Yeah.
Where do we stand on, like, with Bureau Veritas as far as ordinance being changed where they can go in and condemn?
So we've looked at that and Forrest and I have discussed it. I think the best way we both kind of agree as we work through, we have a grant that's getting kicked off to look at kind of a zoning ordinance and an ordinance revision related to that. So I think that would probably be the best time to wrap everything up in that one ordinance revision. And we look at October, is that correct?
Yeah, so the actual full ordinance zoning piece would be presented to y'all for adoption consideration in October. The building plan, the building codes and the floodplain ordinance, those would be like mid-year when they bring those revisions to y'all. So that would be probably mid-year. But the reason we talked about that was because the creation of a new board is gonna need to go forward to y'all as part of all this for the Board of Adjustment plus zoning board. So it needs to kind of all wrap into that whole process piece.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Okay, but, you know, when I was talking to, the city administrator in Rogers, they have just gone with them. And Bureau Veritas is, I don't know how many places they are, but I mean, it's all over the United States. Surely they have that, what Cameron is mentioning, they've got to have that somewhere. Somebody has done this. So why do we need to really, I mean, we might need to tweak it, but we don't need to reinvent it. That's what I'm just saying, man hours, because I know you're spending a bunch of time trying to catch up from 10 years ago. So,
I mean, that's what staff's thoughts are too, and we're still gonna push for it. And maybe an additional voice from the council that says, hey, don't solve this bill of goods and you need to deliver.
Well, and that's not the only community in our county. You know, they've already started with Snook. I've just, anyway. I've had conversations with 4 or 5 different people, and, you know, and then you've got people wanting to invest in it and repurpose something that's, you know, an old building that's just sitting there, and they don't even know what to do because, you know, and it shouldn't be on y'all because it's more of a commercial application. So that's a whole nother layer that I'm not qualified to answer. You're not, and you're not. So they ought to have what's going to be required, you know, because now people are going, okay, well, maybe I just sell this building and you know what I mean? That's just, I don't think we want to deter anybody. And I don't know how long, what we have, a year contract, I guess, I'm assuming. But what I'm saying is if this isn't right, you know, if they can't provide us something, I mean, you know, I had a customer, they had to get a permit and they don't give you any information. But then they show up and say, this is wrong. I don't, you know what I'm saying? I mean, and there's subcontractors that work in Bryan College Station. So, you know, it is new and, you know, and I'm in agreement. We do need to change because, you know, I mean, we want people to do things the right way. But on the other hand, our staff shouldn't be fielding phone calls and having to be the middleman to even, you know, they ought to have a guideline just like we've made over the last 5 years of, okay, read this guideline and then come back to it. So, anyway, but I'll work with you.
You happy to have you?
And I'll be glad to talk with the guys.
well, Karen, you mentioned, I'm sorry, are you done?
Yeah.
You mentioned just a while ago, council member backing you up or whatever. Could that be done during a workshop like we did with the legal department when they came in and?
You could, I mean, we would even have to invite BV in, kind of tell them, you know, we need some changes, we need these things in order to accomplish the same common goal that we all have.
That way we all hear it at the same time and any questions or concerns are done at that time, not we have to come back and discuss it and bring it back to the open forum, even if we have to go in closed session. Okay.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
And the other thing is I think that not the same person is, say, inspecting the same project. So they ship a different.
It should be the same respect. But if that's not happening, then it's something else we can take up.
Well, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
and it's not, It hadn't happened here, I'm just saying, it's snow on a couple of projects, they sent different inspectors to the site.
I mean, I will say they've been good about taking meetings with us and trying to get us in the right direction. It is just a lot of extra work on our staff, and it'd be nice if we could present every developer, this is what you're gonna need. This either the state requirements or these are the requirements that we've adopted as a city, and this is what it is. But right now, we're having a difficult time saying that, so I just brought that up, so if you hear grumblings out from public, we're aware.
Okay, any more questions or comments about the Department of Community Reports? Okay, next, administrative elected officials reports.
I know, I've lost my mind, I don't know what's going on. Some good news, so our wholesale power contract, I just got some preliminary price, and that's gonna look a lot better. It's nothing I can share in this meeting, but it looks a lot better. We continue to work on the ERCOT load integration project, and that is getting a lot closer to filing. Should have a better update on that next month. We're already looking at summertime, obviously with softball and everything else, but looking at repairs at the spray park already. And we got a quote in today to replace the controller, kind of the activation switch, to do some other work that needs to be done, some of the seals, and just kind of put it back in good shape. And that came in at that's approximately $26,000
At the splash pad?
splash pad. So just want council to know, it seems like we're always behind the 8 ball on this thing, but I mean, we're looking at it right now. We're a long way from being on, obviously from last week, but we will kind of see where we're led to on that one. We'll kind of evaluate some different options. It is well used, and it's going to require some upkeep. Talk about a workshop. I do want to schedule a workshop for next week. I know we've got basketball and other stuff going on. Does a Monday or a Thursday work better for anybody?
Any day with a Y.
So some of the things I want to discuss, we brought up, looking at some large projects that we're going to need to do in the near future. And I really think that we need to get started right now. I've got some figures on what borrowing money would look like, and I just want to kick that conversation off. I want to know where there's not a whole lot of fat to trim, but I want to know if there's any, what project, what our scope's going to look like. We have some hot funds reimbursements we need to discuss as well. But trying to stay away from those nights that we got basketball for those of us that have seniors.
I'd rather do one business. I can't do my day.
You can't do it.
I mean, as long as we get the majority, all right, catch up.
Do you have a preference, Jesse?
Monday would work.
Lee?
Either day.
Okay.
I mean, we can make Thursday with everybody.
Yes, ma'am.
Will Thursday work?
Yeah, Thursday work for me.
Thursday,
Just make it.
Thursday, February 1st
You are quick.
at 5:30.
So should be good. That's it. We've also, one other thing that kind of roll into that we can discuss at that time, looking into advanced metering as well to kind of see how that fits. We've talked to a couple of different vendors, so that would be on the water and electric side for meter reading instead of manually going around and reading each one. We can discuss that some next week as well. Of course, I want to thank our crews for keeping everything going last week. Was it last week?
Yes.
The only thing I have, I'm sorry, I sound like a squeaky toy here, but the only thing I have is the city election is up and going. We've had 2 filings, this one last week, one today for mayor, and we've got 2 council positions open, and filing begins now until February 16th at 5 p.m. That's all
So we
I have.
had 2 already from there.
Yes, sir. We will be having an election. And that's all I have. Mr. Easter.
I was just gonna turn my chair.
I already got my pencil ready.
The street striping, the crosswalks that has been brought up. Do we have any numbers yet, or?
I'm gonna have trouble getting somebody to return.
Yeah, because James Schmeller, he's supposed to meet with me and meet with me, I think, get his ideas over at Catholic Church.
Okay.
Then we was talking about doing that one, then they want crosswalk at First Baptist, and then while we have him here, we was talking about maybe striping PD, with the Civic Center and they mentioned the library, right, for us? And then get a price on that, and I'd like maybe springtime, wouldn't get a price doing downtown, so that's. But I'll give Jamie a holler and see what he wants, if we get. Names I'm getting is like precision and striping, they're supposed to be pretty good, get a price from them, and just see that.
Okay. Street sweeper?
Supposed to be there now, but apparently not. So I talked to salesman about 2 weeks ago, and he said within 2 weeks, but it's been 2 weeks, I didn't get a call. But when you order something, it's no telling when
Okay.
We're getting closer.
Yeah, that's what, because when I talked to you, it was 2 weeks, and now it's supposed to be now, so 2 weeks go fast. 10th Street repair, great job. BPI took them 10 days. Wonderful job.
We're supposed to do a little bit on the end of 14th Street, but rain caught us and it went base, so.
They had perfect weather to get
It works
this.
out good, but you
Yeah.
need lots of water when you stabilize it.
One last one, Santa Fe Park. And when are we gonna focus on the pavilion
I need to get back with, the church
and,
and see what they wanna do, because they really had a good idea and kind of community interest in it, and see,
Mhm.
you know, I talked about just different things that we could use, and that structure itself is still in decent shape, Thomas, and I've been over there and looked at it.
And also, as far as the playscape, I got with Miracle, and they're supposed to find the platforms, and they're having issues, so I don't know if we just wanna take that thing down.
The playground.
Playscape.
We've also had a request, speaking of Santa Fe Park, to kind of update those restrooms over there, some of the fixtures in there, so Thomas and I, we need to go over there and look to see what all needs to be replaced.
doors are all
It's
torn
all
up.
push button, it's old.
Yeah, and
It's all
I know
wood. They
Doris has cleaned it up, but it really needs to have a dark color, like from 4 foot up, from the ground up, for obvious reasons, but the doors,
Yeah, it's just wood frame.
yeah.
Really need some, but.
What is wrong with the
Well,
roofs
they're
on all
big
our
screens,
buildings?
They still tear them off the walls, so.
Oh, just shut up, okay. But anyway, I
They
just
haven't
thought,
been replaced in a while.
well, I just, I'm willing to start helping to tear or church or whatever, to get the old chain link security fences posed out and just tear down the restrooms.
Yeah, I'm hoping we can rip the restroom part off and you have enough supports there where you can just have one open pavilion.
Yeah, that's it. That's what I'm getting at. Anyway, I just don't, it's on my list.
We'll take another look at it.
Yeah.
What we were thinking about is basically pulling that in off.
Ooh. Thank you. Okay, your turn.
We'll make sure you're involved.
Want to publicly thank the water department. On January the 15th, a crew repaired an 8-inch water main with a 30-inch plant. Weather conditions were cloudy with low temperature of 19, with winds ranging from 17 to 25 miles per hour, meaning the wind chill was around 7 degrees. Those working on that project were Jason Pullen, Emilio Coronado, Bryce Castaneda, Ian Riccio, Jeff Skyby, and Camden White. Big project. Thank you for that. Also, the electrical group, thank you to them for changing out a transformer in sub-freezing temperatures on Tuesday, the 16th. Weather conditions, low temperature 17, wind chill was around 14, and those working on that project were Jerry Zabodny, Dylan Norsworthy, and Andrew Pedison. So thank you to them for working in miserable conditions to keep us up and running. Also, on behalf of me and the council, condolences to Jeff Skyby and his family on the loss of his dad. Main Street is sponsoring its 9th annual chocolate cake and champagne walk on Saturday, February the 10th. We have 11 participating businesses. It's only $10. Come join in the fun. And what is the status of the citizen reporting? Where are we? Getting there? Huh? Okay, got it. Okay. Very good.
It's there, it's just need to post that.
Okay. Got it. Okay, that's it for me.
This week, I was introduced to our new person in the Civic Center. So, seemed like a nice fellow, so sounds like he's got some big ideas. There was only 2 of us there, so thank you for introducing me.
Oh,
We didn't have.
you mean when you had lunch? Okay, I thought you meant you went to the Civic Center. He's a great.
So he seems like a nice guy. Big plans.
He's doing great. I really enjoyed having him.
Some of the drainage that we talked about, the one on the north end of OSR and a couple other projects along with that.
Yes.
So where we at?
That's another one. I actually had a call or an email on that today. So OSR, if y'all recall, we did a drainage study and determined, they stranded it, they nailed it, they caught all the places we were flooding, their overflowing ditches. Their recommendation was to put a detention pond over there at OSR and the railroad tracks. We submitted that project as a part of the MITMOD grant that is going to be funded out of the COG. The funding was approved. We still had to get a grant administrator to put the application in. All that's been done. It's just kind of tied up in the bureaucracy of same as the GLO one was, but that one's been approved. We're moving on that one. I think I reported back on that last one. I can't remember.
You just got approved and.
Correct.
Out of bid pretty soon.
I think we'd go out to bid, the next month or 2, probably 2 months. So those things are still happening with the rains that we're having right now. It's definitely, we're seeing a lot of flows in those drainage ditches. We're just waiting on the funding from that, and then we'll see the impact from it. And, drainage is very difficult just to Band-Aid an issue here or there. We've got to look at it from a larger scale.
Yeah, I talked to Thomas about some of the erosion problems on some of those other areas downstream of it. It's a lot of water.
It'll help though as we slow that down and have not a time release, but we're releasing it a lot slower than what we normally would. And then it'll also help because it'll keep from, you have a lot of sheet flow that goes over OSR for the industrial park right now that flows down Temple Street, and we'll widen that ditch and add extra culverts to divert that to that detention pond. And we shouldn't have so much going over OSR through those neighborhoods.
Anything else, guys? Do you have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay.
The 4 young leads, I need everybody's signature on the order of election. So please please do not leave the council.